Sherlock Holmes, Game of Shadows, movie review. So, this movie is a sequel to the 2009 Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes movie. I believe this one was also directed by Guy Ritchie. I saw it in the theaters and I really enjoyed it. Despite the fact that I gave a mixed review to the original 2009 Sherlock Holmes movie, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that 2009 movie. Maybe I was just in a bad mood when I saw it. I don't know. But Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law are both great in this. They're both great actors with a lot of charisma. Robert Downey Jr. in particular does a great job in this movie. Every scene that he's in is a lot of fun to watch. Furthermore, as somebody who's read the Sherlock Holmes stories, I liked how this movie paid off that knowledge, and I liked all those references to the book. Mycroft Holmes, Professor Moriarty, Jack the Tiger Moran. And there's a nice little scene where they're going to Switzerland, and then the camera shows a waterfall in this scene in Switzerland. And all of a sudden, I was like, I know exactly what's going to happen. And it was just that nice little Easter egg to all the Sherlock Holmes fans out there that made those kind of things made this movie a lot of fun. I do have a few nitpicks, though. Nitpick number one, the action sequences. Now, the Sherlock Holmes book, I always thought, because of movies in Hollywood and stuff like that, that there would be a lot more action in these books than there was when I finally got around to reading them. They're not action books, not at all. I mean, occasionally a bad guy might attack, but the Sherlock Holmes would defeat him, and it's summed up in like a sentence. There's no. And most of the time, the bad guys don't even attack. Most of the time, Sherlock Holmes just finds out all the clues, and then the police get them. So it's not an action franchise in the books by any means. But I understand it's a movie, it's a visual medium. You need something for eating popcorn. I understand that they have to put some action scenes in the movie. I'm not complaining about it. I like a good action scene. They're fun to watch. But the first couple action scenes in this movie were good and fun to watch and well choreographed. But then things just started getting over the top. I'm thinking specifically about the fight in the train and the fight in the German armory. Now, don't get me wrong, a bit of fisticuff and swashbuckling is all right in these movies. But the massive machine gun battles and the huge explosions seem like they were more suited to a Die Hard movie than a story about a 19th century detective. I'm guessing what happened is that the studio demanded it. The studio said, you want funding for this movie, you have to have these big set piece explosion scenes, or there's no money for it. They know what works good in the trailer, or what brings in the crowds, or they think they do. But the movie didn't need it. I would have been fine without it. Those action scenes fine, swashbuckling fine, but huge machine gun battles and big bombs and explosions, that you don't need that in a Sherlock Holmes movie. Worse, it brought down the intelligence level of the movie. The core story is a covert battle of wits between Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, which, according to the story of the movie, is supposed to be all played underneath the radar of 19th century European diplomacy, right? And that was sort of an appealing premise, but then that premise just lost all believability once there were huge explosions and machine gun battles on a public train. You can't possibly it can't possibly be a covert operation anymore after that. It also loses all sense of proportion. I mean, the initial purpose behind this train battle was to kill Dr. Watson and his wife, but there've got to be easier ways of doing that for, an intelligent spy. Definitely should have been able to pull off that assassination a little bit more covertly. To move on to historical connections, you wouldn't expect historical accuracy from a movie like this, and you don't get it for the most part. But as a history nerd, things that I did appreciate was in the 1890s, when this movie is set, there really were a string of anarchist bombings. This was like the heyday of anarchist terrorism. Was the 1890s. And there really was a lot of tension between France and Germany. So I thought those were interesting. But that being said, did I miss something? Or did that anarchist plot line not make any sense? If Moriarty's whole plan is to create a war between France and Germany, then why is he paying the anarchists to take credit for the bombings? Germany, France isn't going to go to war with Germany if they believe that the bombings were set off by a group of French anarchists, right? Or maybe I missed something. If I missed something, let me know. This movie also has Stephen Fry in it. Now, Stephen Fry is somebody I've come to appreciate since I've moved abroad to teach English and have several British co-workers. And I have begun to appreciate Stephen Fry's cultural influence and significance over in Britain, and how long he's been on TV over there and what an institution he has there. So I like it now when I see him appearing in Hollywood movies. It's like, I know that guy. I know why he's famous, and it's good to see him getting more exposure over in America. But he's not utilized well in this movie. He plays Mycroft Holmes, which Mycroft Holmes is another reference to the characters from the original stories, but the screenwriters don't figure out how to use him. The one gag they have is that he walks around naked all the time and that he doesn't realize this is socially unacceptable, which was not in the book, as you can imagine, and didn't really strike me as all that funny. So hopefully Hollywood screenwriters will figure out a better way to make use of Stephen Fry in the future. Okay, that's all I have to say about this one.